sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. In 2003, when I aspired to become a high school English teacher in eastern Los Angeles County, there was so much seminal educational theory with which I was expected to become familiar. I poured myself over cognitivism, behaviorism, constructivism. I explored essential instructional modalities, direct instruction, lecture, Socratic seminars, small group work, and the meaningful integration of instructional technology. I learned how to deliver content meaningfully to a college preparatory environment, to my special ed students, to my English learners, and I attempted to challenge my honor students and my AP students. Really, for those first 3 years, around the first 3 years of trying to serve as a high school English teacher, I did what every new teacher does in a K-12 environment, and I imagine in any difficult job. I did what every new teacher does, no matter the grade level, no matter the socioeconomic reality of the school, no matter the relative level of passion of that new teacher. I figuratively attempted to keep my head above water and not drown. And in doing so, I also attempted to thrive, to become the best teacher I could be, and not let the word teacher, while it was very important to me, become the sum total of my identity. I had some successes, I had some failures, I had some days that just kind of were, and I had some days that definitely made me doubt my life choices. But those early years were good years. At the end of my first year, I was online, honestly looking for an Aikido school. And martial arts were always hit and miss for me in my childhood, adolescence, and early adulthood. What was constant during that time period, though, was I was always reading about Bruce Lee and Dan Inosanto. Well, it turns out in my search for an Aikido school, there was actually a school certified where the instructor was certified by Dan Inosanto, and it was not all that far away from the high school at which I was teaching. So I started training diligently, pouring myself into both, trying to be the best educator that I could be, and my martial arts studies, kind of feeling like I had finally found the martial arts that I'd been looking for my entire life. I feel like I'm speaking to a mixed group with a lot of experience, so I won't go into too much detail. Along with studying a whole lot of different martial arts, as far as the teachings of Bruce Lee, well, I begun with the Jun Fan basics. Those are the seminal drills, techniques, ideas, the set system that one must explore in the very beginning as a pathway to developing his or her own Jeet Kune Do. Now, one can definitely explore the Jeet Kune Do of Bruce Lee at any given time period, and there's value in doing that. However, the real focus of Jeet Kune Do is that development of a tailor-made combat system discovered by exploring the values taught in the Jun Fan arts. I'm going to get back there in just 1 second. I attended a seminar recently. It's actually the second to last seminar of a legendary stick fighter. His name's Eric Knaus. He's one of the founders of Dog Brothers. And he has 300 or 400 stick fights in what we call the real contact stick fighting environment. Live sticks, very, very, very minimal protective equipment. And he was explaining what had not only helped him survive but thrive in that very challenging environment was through his studies of the seminal basics. He had found 4 or 5 things that worked really well for him against most people. That's really what we're talking about when we talk about that unique tailor-made system. So going back to my work as an educator, it occurred to me very early on that those seminal conceptual basics that I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, that was my educator, Jun Fan. And I was on a mission as a K-12 teacher to develop my educator, Jeet Kune Do, that uniquely tailor-made combat system that only fits me because I have developed it for myself using those seminal basics. I wish I had more time with you today. Truly, this is a really special event. But with the time that I have, I'm going to break down my K-12 educator Jeet Kune Do for you with 2 questions. They are two questions that I had to develop, again, from those basics. I ask them of myself all the time as an educator. Question number one, how much of myself am I willing to share with my students? How much of myself am I willing to share with my students? Now, as an English teacher, to me, it is a little bit absurd that I will spend 10 months with students and the only thing they will know is that I am an English teacher. That's simply how I don't do business that way. My students will leave my classroom knowing things like Joseph Campbell is one of my personal heroes, that my martial arts practice is an essential component of my life, that I have 2 Caucasian children with Japanese names. It's a long story. I can do everything that I'm supposed to do as an educator. I can teach the canon and expose them to great literature. I can improve grammar. I can exponentially improve the quality of their writing, and I can prepare my students for state testing and still have time to share something uniquely of myself and give them a forum in my classroom to share something, to have them share uniquely of themselves. We do not overshare. That is actually something that I explicitly teach, not to do that. But this hour, 1 hour a day, 45, 50 minutes a day that we're spending together, we can do more together than just learn English language arts. Second question, to wrap this up, how can I create as much as possible an environment that the students do not want to leave? Sometimes when I say that to other educators, they scoff a little bit, like it's impossible. Every single day when students walk in my room, there's a different piece of music playing. I call that daily music. I do not repeat that song again throughout the entire course of the year. This becomes a really important part of our classroom. What's the song going to be for Halloween? What's the song going to be on the last day of first semester, second semester? After the bell rings, we turn off daily music. We begin with a 45-second activity like we might stand up and have a race with our neighbor to see who can say the alphabet backwards the fastest. It only costs us 45 seconds, but it puts a smile on everybody's face. From there, we're going into 3 to 6 minutes of writing on a topic that I've written myself, that I've created. And that's how every single day begins. Along with that, I explicitly explain to my students that I live by the philosophy, if 85% of the time we are coming to work or school excited about what we're doing, then life really is pretty good. And we try and model that and live that every single day together in the class, again, as much as possible, to try to create an environment that they don't want to leave. That is my educator, Jeet Kune Do. Again, how much of myself as a teacher am I willing to share? And how do I create an environment as much as possible that my students do not want to leave? It's really been a pleasure today. Thank you so much. I had an amazing time. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.